Congress of 1865 was so focused on the rights of blacks, but didn't care at all about the Native Americans. Even when Europeans first arrived, they always wanted more, but there was always one problem, with wanting more land. The land wasn't theirs to take. Native Americans always fared for the worse, and relationships with Europeans were always stressed. The Indian Removal Act, put in place by President Jackson, almost permanently destroyed these relationships. From the years 1865 to 1895, they ended Native American resistance and destroyed almost all of their culture.
Century of Dishonor was, in a sense, like the famous book of the abolition movement, Uncle Tom's Cabin. The Century of Dishonor shows the government's wrongs and influenced debate between humanitarians who wanted to treat the natives kindly against the hardliners who favored harsh treatment of the natives. The Century of Dishonor was not nearly as effective as Uncle Tom's Cabin, however.
Helen Hunt Jackson is wrong. Her book of A Century of Dishonor is full of lies. The government has treated them fine.
Have you ever read Romana? I heard there was 600,000 copies.
I don't even know how that's possible. African Americans need more rights than natives. Natives don't even deserve rights. The government is always right because they're treating the natives respectably.
So, me being mellow and everything, I really think the Native Americans were treated really poorly. We just kept taking their land, and it was theirs to start off with, so why shouldn't it be theirs still? And it was just a really bad situation for them. It just wasn't fair. So that's my opinion on the issue. That's my opinion.
And then the railroads moved west.
In my opinion, the Native Americans were always at a disadvantage. Diseases such as cholera, typhoid, and smallpox helped weaken the Native Americans. Buffalo hunters from North America massacred sacred bison. This destroyed the food in which nomadic natives deeply relied on. The train, in my mind, was also the most key factor in destroying the natives' culture because it supplied America with all the resources they needed to defeat them.
Man, that train ride. Well, let's go on this expedition. Ooh, I think I spot some natives. I'm gonna attack!
I don't feel good, but the blanket this white man gave me is super warm.
Bill, and I'm hunting buffalo.
I dislike America because they destroyed most of the native culture. Custer is the main reason why the U.S. hunted down the natives, so basically it's all his fault.
The factors responsible for the disintegration of tribal culture.
Another factor that led to the destruction of Native culture was the Dawes Act. This was an attempt by the federal government to assimilate the Native Americans into the American culture. It dissolved many tribes as legal entities, wiped out tribal ownership of land, and set up individual Indian family heads with 160 free acres. If the Indians behaved themselves, they would receive full title to the land and gain citizenship in 25 years. Lots of reservation land was not allotted to the natives, and under the act it would be sold to benefit the railroads. From the act came many government-funded schools for Native American children.
I'm John. I'm your teacher. Stop singing. Stop dancing. Give me this blanket. Give me that. Give me the necklace. And go sit down. You're no longer Starfish. You're Connor. And you're no longer Morning Sign. You're Elizabeth. You're only going to speak English in here. No native language. Am I clear? I am your teacher. Today we're going to learn about American culture. These are Uggs. You wear them with leggings and only leggings. Always in public. Never alone.
Matata.
I said no language! Come on! You gotta be kidding me! English! Some of these schools, put in place by the Dawes Act, were unjust and weren't fair, Native Americans were still treated harshly.
American culture began to decline and was limited due to the introduction of the railroad to the West. The Transcontinental Railroad spanned the whole country. It delivered food, manufactured goods, and people to the West.
The railroads were being built at a rapid rate, using the land bought up by the Homestead Act.
New markets were opened up, the largest being the food market. The growth of the beef industry due to the railroad attracted many people to make profit in the West.
Let's go west.
The railroad moved people west as they sought economic and political fortune. It made the trip west cheaper, safer, and faster. Barbed wire was the main invention for prairie life. It closed the West. Cattle could no longer free range and eat the wheat from the farmers. Once barbed wire was widely used, there was no longer cattle going to the railroad and then getting slaughtered and brought to the north. Barbed wire closed that off so that there was only a small area, thus ending the cattle period. Ezekiel and his daughter, Lexi.
I cannot keep these darn cattle off my farm. I'm glad I bought this barbed wire. I can now keep the cattle off of my farm.
Thus closing the West.
From my experiences, barbed wire is very important. But this one time, it hurt a lot. You see, I was like this bottle of water, okay? And pretend this is the barbed wire. This was me!
I'm Frederick Jackson Turner, and I firmly believe the Western frontier helped to shape the United States culture. Farmers, soldiers, and industrial workers all took part, each one paving the way for the American dream, all because of the great frontier. And this is my thesis.
And justice was soon served.
The end.